I'm amazed at the number of patients I see that were released from the hospital months ago, and they're just now coming into clinic to see me. Like, why didn't you come as soon as you were discharged? Did no one say this to you? You fractured multiple bones and you can't drive. You were discharged from the hospital without any medications to carry you over. Had a patient like this. He was working as a technician and his truck broke down on the side of the road. He was with a coworker. So they pulled over to fix the truck and the patient got hit by an oncoming car. And the way that he got hit was the car hit his vehicle, his work vehicle, and the work vehicle rolled over him. His coworker jumps into the driver's seat, backs the truck off of him, calls 911. So you can imagine he had a whole slew of injuries and he was discharged from the hospital, sent to a rehab facility, released from the rehab facility, and was without any care in terms of a primary treating provider for at least a month or two before he came to see me. Folks, if you have been hospitalized from a work-related injury, there are a couple things I need you to do. And number one is you cannot leave these establishments without having some type of continuity of care plugged in, meaning you have to know which doctor you're going to see on the outside of the hospital, okay? Now, while you're in the hospital, either you or a family member or your best friend, whoever is helping you, please make sure your employer has reported the injury to their workers' comp insurance carrier. I want you guys to think of workers' comp insurance like car insurance. Like you would call Geico when you get in an accident and say, hey, Geico adjuster, I just wanted to let you guys know I got into a car accident. It's the same thing with workers' comp insurance. Your employer has a carrier, and when you have an injury that you report to your employer is supposed to call the carrier, contact the carrier, and report the injury so that they can get a claim number for you and they can also get an adjuster for you. That process of getting a claim number and getting an adjuster, that should take no more than 72 hours. And in my opinion, even that is too long, especially when you've been hurt to the degree that you've been placed into the hospital. The second thing, if you have multiple extensive injuries, severe injuries to the point that you needed to go to the hospital, you more than likely need a nurse case manager. Well, what is a nurse case manager? A nurse case manager is a nurse who is familiar with medical terminology, who can help you navigate the health system, okay? Now again, just like physicians, there are some that are great and there are some that are not great. So you may have to date around a little bit to find a nurse case manager that's actually doing what we need them to do. They're going to make sure that you get plugged in with all the doctors that you're supposed to get plugged in with. They're going to make sure that all the orders that were placed for you, like medications and equipment, that you get all of those things. And so if you've injured multiple body parts, which means you're probably going to need to see multiple specialists, you need the nurse case manager to help you coordinate all of that. Once you get the name of your nurse case manager, you also need to get the name of the physician who is going to be the primary treating provider, or PTP. This is different from your primary care provider, right? The primary care provider is the person you go to when you have a cold. It's the person you go to when you ate something bad and now your stomach hurts. You don't go to the primary care provider for a work injury. You go to a primary treating provider, and the PTP, that is assigned by the insurance company, okay? As soon as you are discharged from the hospital with those two pieces of information, you need to go see your PTP like the next day, like the next week, to establish care, and so that any medications that were prescribed at the hospital that you're going to need to take on a prolonged basis, you can get refills for those. If you were discharged from the hospital and they said, hey, you need to see the cardiologist, you need to come see the PTP, so the PTP and your nurse case manager can make sure the appropriate referrals have been placed so you can get an appointment to see the cardiologist or see the orthopedist or see the neurologist soon after you get out of the hospital. So with all of these different players in your case, keep in mind that the PTP or the work comp doc, they are the captain of the ship, okay? They are leading the way, but they are relying on the help of the specialists, if applicable, to get you to the point where you're fully recovered and you can go back to your usual life. So if you know someone who got hurt as a result of their job and they were in the hospital, send this video to them so that they know the things they need to be doing before they leave the hospital. And if they're not in a position to be able to do it for themselves, then a family member or a friend, someone who can help and make sure these things are starting to move. I hope you will like, subscribe, and comment. This is the Work Comp Doc, and we'll see you on the next one.